Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists, turns, and surprises us along the way. On Better Things Ahead, we talk with people who have walked those winding paths. Each story reminds us of the lessons, hope, and promise of better things ahead. Welcome in. My name is Matt Cloyd. I'm the Executive and Discipleship Pastor here at Ridgecrest, and joining with us this week is our Senior Pastor, Michael Estes.
Glad to be here today.
Yep, great to have you as always. And so this week on Better Things Ahead, we're going to kind of tackle, a topic that potentially could be kind of a hot button topic.
Yeah. It's definitely in the news right now.
At least, it is in the news, and, not the topic itself per se, right. But some of the things surrounding it. And that's the idea of citizenship. Mm-hmm. And so as you mentioned in our culture and our news, we're seeing a lot of things, right now, and you have different political agendas as far as strategies for people being here legally versus illegally, strategies, all those kinds of things. There's a lot of uprising in our country, mm-hmm. both sides. And so a lot of those kinds of things going on. And so again, our podcast is never intended to be something that we are trying to push a certain agenda or necessarily, take a political platform or anything like that. We're always, again, we're called Better Things Ahead. We're wanting to figure out how to make things better, mm-hmm. And how to walk with individuals who have walked through that journey and, make it better for the next person to walk through.
That's right.
And so for this podcast, I wanted us to kind of just talk about the citizenship process. This is, again, very educational, provide our listeners and viewers the opportunity to understand what that process is. And then we're actually going to have a special guest who walked through that process, mm-hmm. And became a U.S. citizen and, immigrated from Mexico. And so we'll talk with her, but to kind of set the stage and kind of just walk through things, I just wanted our listeners and viewers to have the opportunity to really understand the citizenship process. Well,
and I think it's important that we understand that the processes are really normal, a normal part of a lot of organizations. We here at church, we have assimilation processes, and it's things that we want you to know us better. We want you to understand what you're stepping into before you become a member, and we understand that part of what we're doing here is you have options, and we want you to understand why you like this particular option as opposed to another one. So there's an assimilation process. I don't think anybody's really opposed to the idea of assimilation processes. And so I like the fact that we're going to spend some time thinking about what citizenship is and how it works. And one of the questions that you and I kind of have discussed a little bit before we actually started talking on the podcast is how our understanding of the process before we had this interview and before we've talked about this a little bit is that it's a pretty expensive process. And you pointed out that's actually not the case, but there are some things that can make it more expensive. What does that look like?
Yeah, so, because that was always my impression of citizenship. And I've been an advocate, because again, I'm one who I believe that, again, America was built on immigration, mm-hmm. and I'm 100% in favor of legal processes to create that opportunity. Yeah, because America is a great place to live, and while we have our problems, have our struggles, I think we should create the opportunity for people who do find themselves in worse situations to have the opportunity to immigrate legally and come into the United States. And so I've always kind of had that impression we need reform because it's just too expensive. If mm-hmm. I wanted to, let's say America was not, a great place to live and I wanted to immigrate to another country and all those kinds of things, there's a lot of costs associated with that. I'm I wouldn't be able to do that. And so, but through my research, what I found was that in general, there are fees and things associated with the different applications you have to submit. Mm-hmm. You have some physicals and some things like that. So it is going to be, more cost, but in general, the fees for all your application process ends up being, best I can tell, about $1,000.
Yeah,
which is still a lot of money.
It's a relatively reasonable amount.
That's right, but it's not as much as thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now that is best case scenario. That's mm-hmm. assuming you're able to walk through the process pretty seamlessly. There are different ways and different situations that allow for immigration, and if best case scenario, you're looking at maybe transitioning in for about $1,000 or so. worst case scenario, if you have someone who is immigrating in without kind of the easier pathways, they're probably going to have to step in and get legal help. Well, when you start bringing in lawyers and attorney fees and things like that, that's going to drive the price into the thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars to provide that opportunity. And so it's very case by case dependent, and the process itself is relatively affordable. However, depending on the person's situation, it could drive that price up, and you start getting into kind of, again, attorney fees and cost for legal representation and all the additional processes you kind of have to walk through that, may or may not be a person's fault or anything like that, just because of the situation they're in.
So you mentioned that there are multiple pathways. Like, what are some of those pathways look like? I'm curious to know, what would make it maybe more complicated? What would be easier? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So there's technically 3 or 4 different pathways. The first pathway that is easiest is family. So if you have, someone who's wanting to immigrate into the United States, they have a parent, a child, a sibling that has become a U.S. citizen or are a U.S. citizen, then they can go under that familial kind of transition. That, best I can tell, is probably the easiest method because you already have a family member that is a U.S. citizen, so essentially they're acting as your sponsor. You're easily able to create some sponsorship opportunities and, providing a place to live, just very natural because it's a direct family. You have this family member who has proven to be a, upstanding U.S. citizen, things like that. So that's probably the easiest way in. The next would be through work. And so, if a company wants to hire someone from another country, they can walk through that immigration status with them, and they can, enter in.
They probably absorb some of those fees.
They could, yeah. I would imagine, because there are certain specialized career tracks and things like that the government, wants, and all those kinds of things. But, if you come in under essentially a work visa in that way, that's kind of the easiest, another easy way. Then you start getting into some of the more broad stuff like, I guess, like those who are seeking asylum. Apparently I don't know enough about this, but apparently they do like a diversity lottery where they let so many people come in per year under that, and so you can win that and those kinds of things. But the most common is going to be family or work to at least just get the process started.
Right.
When someone first enters, crosses the border, it is not an immediate, okay, now I'm stepping into citizenship. It's a several year process, but to get that initial, what they would call an immigrant visa, that's basically they're coming in with the intent of immigrating to the United States. Those are kind of the main ways that they do that.
Yeah. So from our interview that you're gonna listen to later as a listener, but also from your research, it was interesting to hear that there are multiple kind of bars that you got to cross. Some of it's application stuff, but there's also like a knowledge and content bar that you have to be able to kind of go over in order to be able to become a citizen. So like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So I'll kind of walk through briefly just kind of the main process where you have, again, that initial immigrant visa where you're getting that initial approval. Then you transition to, once you get approved for that, then you can apply for the green card, which is what we hear of most often.
Yeah.
So you walk through that application process, get that green card. That green card then gives the ability to actually work and live and all those things essentially as an immigrant in the United States. Establish residency, all those kinds of things. Once you have that and you start establishing residency, you start securing employment, you do that for, I believe it's 5 years. That I think it used to be 3, now it's 5. But you have to establish residency for 5 years before you can start the actual citizenship process.
A question. So you may not know the answer to this because I didn't think to ask you to look it up, but during that 5-year process, are those folks like paying taxes and doing that sort of thing? Are they is that a part of what they do, or
I'd have to look that up. That's a great question. I believe so. Because again, they're getting that green card to legally work. And
Yeah.
so I believe at that point you are.
It would make sense.
That's right. But I can't say that for certain. I have to do a little research there.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
No, that's a great question though. And so that first kind of, I guess, first half of the journey is getting that immigrant visa,
Yeah.
getting your green card, and establishing residence.
Right.
And then from there, they start looking, because now you have to start getting ready for that citizenship process, which, as you mentioned, is an oral exam, meaning they ask you questions on civics, history, the English language, things like that. And then you also have to, prove that you can speak and read the English language.
Yeah.
And they'll do that. And, and they're also very clear on, the government websites and things like that, is they're not looking for perfection.
Sure.
It's said that, some individuals can make a mistake in the writing or in the speaking aspect of it, because they're not looking for you to be perfect. I mean, how many of us would fail an English speaking, thing, but yeah, so they're not looking for perfect English. They're just looking that you can understand, and speak it, at a, relatively, conversational level.
Yeah.
And so you'll do that, and then you have to prove that you have, upstanding moral character, which I think is interesting because we have a lot of U.S. citizens that
don't have upstanding
moral character, and through the research I've seen, that's one area that some individuals have faced challenge, because how do you prove that, right? Or how do you?
I guess references,
what is
maybe.
That's right.
Is through,
it would be through references, but it's like what's the standard? What's the metric?
Right.
What is the moral compass? And all those.
It's a great question.
And that's where some of those. I will say
that's where the Christian worldview would at least give you.
That's right.
Some standards.
That's right. And in our culture, that's changing, and so.
Right.
The little bit of research I've seen is people get into that, and then they're like, well, I don't know how to really define what good moral standards are, and so those are some of the, other challenges. That's kind of it. Then once you walk through that process, then you do all the testing, you take your oath of allegiance, and then, you become a citizenship. You get a document showing that you went through that process, and then that is now your proof of citizenship, and you're able to kind of walk through that. And so, as you can see, it's from the time you cross the border to the time you become a citizen, it's going to be probably a 7 to 10 year process.
Yeah.
On average, based on my research. But they do provide the test online, and so. I thought, as kind of, while this is a very heavy topic and we're wanting to, to kind of talk through it and figure out how to, our place and all that and helping people understand it, I thought it would be kind of a way to break the ice a little bit to look at some of those questions.
So while you're getting that ready, I just want to say something about the English language part, because I was an English teacher for a long time. And one of the things we were talking about right before the podcast was the idea that the English language, I know that we have a tendency as native English speakers, to think that's not that hard to figure out. But as somebody who has learned a few different languages to a very basic level, like I have a very basic understanding of Spanish, have a very basic understanding of Greek and Hebrew because of my seminary studies. But the thing that's tricky about language is that language is so culturally idiom-based, and what I mean by idioms is we have these little sayings that we understand just by growing up in the culture, that other people, if you were to take these things literally, would be totally confused by that. So, like, think about the idea that if I said that somebody was in the middle of making an argument for something like that, and you said he hit the nail on the head, you would think, oh, he got it correct. A non-native English speaker is going to think that somebody got a hammer out and hit a nail on the head of the nail. Like, they'd be totally confused by that idiom. Yeah. And so, like, one of the things that's really tricky about language learning and about a citizenship process is that, like, you can't learn all the idioms in order to understand the language. You just kind of have to roll with a basic understanding and then build that idiom base over time. It's more complicated than I think we like to think it is. Yeah. And that's probably the hardest part. To me, that would probably be the hardest part of becoming a citizen somewhere else, is acquiring the language and cultural knowledge that would be necessary to be able to speak conversationally.
Yeah, that's right. And that's neat because every culture has some of those things.
A bunch of them,
and that's where I do appreciate the idea of the citizenship process of immersing yourself, establishing residency. Because even in our interview, we talk about that, right? And the opportunity that she had to start working and find a workplace to now just be immersed in the English culture, English language. And that's what helped her really learn it more than studying the textbooks and things like that.
That's right.
Because there's just so many cultural things that you have no idea. They're not in any textbook.
That's right.
So the test itself, they're provided a study guide of 128 questions.
All right.
And those 128 questions, at the actual test, they then take 20 of them and ask. The applicant has to answer 12 of the 20 correct.
Okay.
To pass. That was just changed, I think, last year. Before, you had to answer 6 out of 10 correct. So they only asked.
So it's
10.
a 60%.
That's
either
right.
way, though, right? Yeah.
That's right. Now you just have more questions.
You have to answer more.
That's right. And they do have some, contingencies where if you have an individual who's 65 or older and has been a resident for over 20 years, they only have to study, instead of studying the 128, there's only 20 questions that they have to study.
Okay.
Now, none of us in this room, we've been here over 20 years, but we're not over 65, so we're not let off the hook. And so, there's...
Producer Kelly, are you nervous about this this test that we're about to take?
Yes, I probably should have paid more attention in school.
And so there's different categories. We'll just kind of walk through some of them, and we'll see, And
now, to be fair, Matt has the answers.
I do have the answers, and I did read through them. Some of them I was like, okay, that's not bad. Some of them I was like, we're
coming in blind, Kelly. We can do this.
I would have to study this one.
Between the two of us, we can be a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
All right. So this is somewhat of an easy one. What is the supreme law of the land?
I know the answer, I think. The Constitution.
Oh.
That is correct.
Yes!
You see, I just wouldn't think of the Constitution as a law. I would think
it is the governing document of the
That's
land.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so whenever the Supreme Court looks at things, that's usually the first place they go is it within our Constitution? Okay, here's another one.
I would love for our listeners to pause and try to answer on their own before.
Oh, that's a great, I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear a question, pause and see if you can answer it.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so here's another question kind of along that same line. How many amendments does the U.S. Constitution have?
It's in the 20s. Mike is going to be mad at me if I get this wrong because he's in U.S. Gov right now. Oh, gosh. I'm stuck between two. I'm going to say 28.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, it's actually 27.
20. I was good. I had 27 in my mind. I should have gone with my gut. I'm so disappointed in myself.
I don't think I could be a U.S. citizen.
We didn't study, though.
That's right. You'd have the opportunity to study before you took the test.
Okay.
Fair. And so now, technically, you're a U.S. citizen, so you should already know the answers, to be fair. What is the economic system of the United States?
Capitalism?
Capitalism and?
Free market?
Free market, that's right. See? Michael's a citizen. We're not sure about
proud of
Kelly.
you.
I'm 2 for 3 right now. Should have gone with my gut on the other one.
How many voting members are there in the House of Representatives?
Oh, my gosh. Oh. It's in the 500s. 538.
Okay.
I can't remember the number.
435.
Dang it!
50%. Still got time to get
got a
back
chance.
to 60.
Still got a chance. I was thinking about total number. That's where I kind of got that number from. I was thinking the total number of Senate and House
Congress.
That's
yeah.
where I got that number. Still disappointed in myself.
Okay. What are 2 cabinet level positions?
You got Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Defense. You got all kinds of.
That's right. technically, I guess, Secretary of Defense is not correct anymore.
What's it called now?
Remember, it's the Secretary of War.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
They just changed that. And
Yep.
the document has been updated to reflect that change as well.
Wow.
It has defense in
I
parentheses.
had forgotten that.
but, okay. What do we show loyalty when we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
What
Like-
do you do to show loyalty?
Or no, what do we show loyalty to by saying the pledge? Like, what are we
To the flag.
and?
The
United States of
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about, Kelly.
That's right.
That's way to get in there.
I was thinking, like,
Obviously, yeah. I was wondering if it was what gesture do you do? But now,
like, what
okay.
do you do
Yeah,
to
right.
show loyalty?
Yeah, no, it's literally
What do
what
you
are you
show
showing
loyalty
and
to?
it's the
Yep.
flag in the United States. Okay, name one power that is only for the federal government.
Only for the federal government. Power to regulate interstate commerce.
I'm trying to see which one that would kind of fall under. These are more specific.
Oh, okay. Can you give us an example and I'll try another one?
Sure. Mint coins or print paper money.
Okay. I would say, the federal government is the one that has to declare war.
That's right. Yep, that's one of them. Along those lines, create an army,
Yeah.
make treaties, and set foreign
Sure.
policy.
Yep.
And so, okay. What are two examples of civic participation in the United States?
Voting is obviously one.
That's right.
Paying taxes. Let's see, what else? You can run for office.
Yeah, that's right. You're running for office, join a political party, help with a campaign, join a civic group, and several things like that. Basically, creating opportunities for you to get involved in local
Yep.
government. Okay, so it's important for all men ages 18 through 25 to register for the Selective Service. Name one reason why.
I never heard the reasons why when I had to do it. I just had to do it.
Which is a reason.
Because I'll go to jail if I don't.
That's right, you are required by law. So that is one.
Okay.
The second one is civic duty.
Okay.
Because, you
Yeah.
know, and the third is it makes the draft fair.
Yeah.
If it's needed.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Can you name 5 of the 13 original states?
5 of there. Okay, so you just go up the eastern seaboard. You can do New York, North and South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia. You can do Maine. You can do Connecticut. Was Maine one? Maybe it was a part of
Maine
another.
was not one.
Okay. Rhode Island.
Yep. Basically
Connecticut.
all the others.
Yeah.
You know, I think basically along your eastern coast,
Yep.
the only ones that aren't were Florida and Maine,
Okay.
I think.
I wonder what. Okay, I'd look back.
You know, I'm not. Yeah, I'd have to see when Maine was adopted. It was probably pretty soon after.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Now we're getting into some, I guess, more modern history. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s.
Vietnam, Korea, First and Second World War.
Yep.
One
more.
Do the Gulf War.
That's right. Yep.
One.
When did all women get the right to vote?
I think I know the answer to this one. 1920.
It was 1920.
That wasn't that long ago.
No. After World War I with the 19th Amendment. Not sure there's any correlation, but the Great Depression, then...
Oh, Matt.
Sorry, bad joke. That can be cut too.
Okay.
No, that definitely should be left in.
Adam will at least like that joke. Okay. Can you name one American Indian tribe in the United States?
There's one right around the corner from us. It's a mascot for one of our colleges.
The Choctaws.
Very good. Very good. And then you have the Cherokee.
Yep.
That was closer to where I'm from.
Seminoles.
Yep. Seminoles. And so, yeah. Okay. Last question, I think. Name one example of an American innovation.
Electricity.
Well, not necessarily electricity, but
The light bulb.
the light bulb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't
electricity,
that's right.
but we invented things that used electricity.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh, what else? I mean, there's lots of stuff. The automobile is not unique to us, is it? It is?
Yep.
Okay.
We were the innovators of cars and the internal combustion engine.
Airplanes?
Airplanes. That's correct. You had the Wright brothers. Now the French took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Because America thought the Wright brothers were crazy.
Right. Well, this is an aviator over here. He knows
That's
his-
right. That's why most of our aviation words are French sounding
Yeah.
words, is because whenever the Wright brothers actually flew, they tried to promote it and they did like these flying circuses and people were like, oh, that's a neat trick.
Yeah.
But America wouldn't take it. So they took it to the French and the French really developed it. And, that's really, but yeah.
Cool.
You had the assembly line,
Yep.
skyscrapers,
Yeah.
landing on the moon. I guess
Yep.
depends on who you ask.
Officially,
But if you're
this
gonna pass the
podcast
US
does believe that we landed on the moon.
That's
Just I'm just
correct.
going to put
That's
that out
correct.
there. That is an official belief of this podcast.
That's right. And so, we'll do one more question because this is a good one to end with. So the nation's first motto was E pluribus unum.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It's basically the many are one or something along those lines.
That's right. That's right. Out of many.
Out of many, yeah.
One. Which I think the reason I want to end with that is because that kind of solidifies who we are as a nation, right?
Yeah.
We become this kind of melting pot of nationalities and immigration and all those kinds of things, which is one of the things that makes America great.
Yeah.
And, out of all these many cultures that we can experience and come together to establish our new culture of the United States of America, we become one nation under God. And so I think, as we've talked about, I think citizenship is a great thing. I think creating proper pathways and legal pathways for citizenship is a great thing. I think, we should look for opportunities to continue to make that process better. And, to create that opportunity as we continue to do that and demonstrate what it means to be an American and, welcome individuals in. And I understand the safety side of things and I understand, the legal side of things. All that sort of stuff is valid, but it doesn't mean that we just kind of shy away from it. I think it's an opportunity for us to address it, look at it, and promote it and encourage it because, it can be good. And can it be better? Of course, because there's always better things ahead, right? And so hopefully, as you've kind of listened to this kind of first part of our podcast, it's helped, maybe help you understand the citizenship process a little bit more. Now we're going to transition to our interview with Miss Maria Teresa. She's an individual who walked through that process. She immigrated to the United States with her family. She went through the citizenship process. She'll kind of talk through that a little bit and help you understand what her process looked like. And it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed sitting down with her. She was appreciative of the process. She, while it was difficult, she enjoyed going through that process. And we do want to encourage you, if you're listening, it might be good to watch this podcast because we're going to provide some subtitles to help with, understanding, I guess, a different dialect, and kind of helping, just help you understand some of the questions a little bit better and some of the answers a little bit better. But, you're welcome to watch on our app or YouTube, and we'll have subtitles there available so that you can kind of follow along a little bit better with the interview. But again, it was a great opportunity to sit down and hear from someone who walked through that process. And so here we are. We'll introduce you to Miss Maria Teresa. thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
We are very grateful for you taking time, and I know that this is a little outside of your comfort zone, but I know we are very appreciative of being willing to do that. And so to kind of get the conversation started, you have been a part of Ridgecrest and a specific ministry that Ridgecrest has been a part of for many years, and that's our ESL, English as a Second Language ministry. And so how long have you been involved in that ministry?
I think it's maybe for 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It's maybe the time for I have my residence.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And how did you find Ridgecrest, and what was that? How did you get connected here?
Well, the first time I go for in Jackson, the first Baptist church,
Okay.
I begin this church. After I invited me here, I don't remember the teacher is maybe Betty, not remember the name, but I come here.
Okay.
Here. I have 8 years.
Okay.
In this.
Okay. So I've been here at Ridgecrest for 8 years, and started your ESL journey 14 years ago.
Yes.
And that's great. And so tell me a little bit about your background. Where did you live before moving to the United States?
Yes, I moved in 20 years ago. No, I'm sorry, 16 years ago.
Okay.
Yes, it's when my grandson, the older, is born.
Right.
My daughter say me, Mama, you can go. Okay. I want to see my grow up my grandchildren.
Sure.
Yes.
It's a company for my daughter.
Yeah, that's great. And so your daughter moved, got married, and had a grandchild, your first grandchild. And so, of course, what all good grandparents do, they move to where their new grandkids are. And so that's great. And how old is your oldest grandkid now?
Now it's 16 years and 13 years.
Okay. Very good. And so before you moved, what country did you live in?
I live in Mexico City.
Okay.
Mexico City, and my sons, I have 2 sons, invited me live in Cancun.
Okay.
But my daughter invited me here. Okay, I go for my daughter, and it's a great nation.
Sure.
This country.
Yeah. And so how long were you in Cancun before you moved? Because I know you said you were in Mexico City first, right?
Yes.
And then you moved to Cancun.
I born in Mexico City.
Okay, so that's where you're born
Mexico
from.
City, yes.
Okay.
Is my city when I born.
Yeah.
Mexico City.
Okay. And so we know, I guess, about 16 years ago, you followed your daughter to the United States and to watch your grandchildren grow and help there. And so when you did that, how soon did you realize that you were going to be here more long term, and it wasn't because I know sometimes we'll travel places and live somewhere for a short time and then travel back home, or what we would maybe consider what was our home, but again, it's been 16 years. And so when did you realize that you were going to make America home?
When I come back here, I don't know, speak nothing English, nothing. The 16 years ago, I began is learning English.
Sure.
But nothing. When I am citizenship, in my house I am boring. I say my daughter, I want work. Okay, but you need to speak English. Yeah, I go to school, but nothing, no English.
I'm the same way when learning other languages.
No, understand. It's difficult for me. And okay, I got and when my daughters in the daycare, my grandchildren stay in the daycare, I go. You can give me a job. Let me see, maybe 15 days, nothing, no. But okay, one day call. You want work and now? Yes, sure. Okay, come now. Okay, go. But my daughter say, oh, Mama, it's difficult for. Yes, I don't understand nothing.
Yeah.
In my job, no understand. But when I fighting boy, I need learn English.
Yeah.
But in my job is I need practice English.
Yeah.
It's for English.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It's difficult because it's difficult, but I stay here. Okay. Yes, study. Miss Nancy, Miss Beth, all is a very nice person. I think she helped me much. And
Good.
but it's difficult for me, maybe because I am old woman. Because I tried.
You're doing better than me. So
Yeah.
that's really good. And where did you work initially?
I work in a daycare.
Okay.
It's in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Church.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And was that the same daycare that your grandchild went to?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that worked out very well.
I love the babies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Well, so at what point did you start thinking about becoming a citizen of the United States? How long ago was that?
I am sorry. You repeat, please.
That's okay. I probably spoke too fast. How long ago did you decide that you wanted to be a citizen of the United States?
I am citizen. I think almost 6 years ago.
Okay.
I got my test, but it's difficult because I study maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
Because after my test, but it's the English for me was very difficult. But I think one day I have to propose it. First, I take my citizenship. A second,
Our flag fell.
yes. And second, I need to take my drive license.
Yeah.
No, is when I take to
Yeah.
what's golf? Oh, yeah.
Okay. I have to know, which one was harder? Was the citizenship test harder or was the driver's license test harder?
I know the citizenship. Yes.
Yeah, I had a
The
feeling.
driver is hard too because I need to study maybe 2 years. But
So it took 5 years to prepare.
yeah.
Okay. What was the hardest part of preparing for that test?
Okay. It's well, the first difficulty was the idiom. But I need understand, read the history, the geography for the United States,
Yeah.
as the civil rights. I need a part for the question. I need to read the history.
Sure.
Because this was more easy, but learn the questions.
Yeah.
But,
And I've heard that test is very difficult.
Yes.
Because to your point, history, geography, of course, reading and understanding English and walking through all those things, I've heard is a very difficult test.
Yes.
You may not remember, but do they give you a time, like you have to complete the test in 2 hours or 3 hours or?
No, when I go the interview, it's fast, really fast.
Okay.
My daughter give me a tips. I say, okay, you need to stay steep, put in. Okay. But this time I know not speak English. Now I think I speak little, but I think it's when the question I have in my mind is maybe in 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's ready.
Yeah.
45 minutes.
And were there, for the interview, were there specific kind of questions that you remember that they would kind of ask? Like, what did that interview look like?
Yes, the question was, what is the first president
Okay.
the United States? What other? It's easy the question, but in one date is the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's a little,
Sure.
yes. I think it's only 5 questions.
Okay.
Only 5 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the interview was that after the test that you had to take? Or did you do the interview and then the test, or did they do it all together?
No, first was the interview.
Okay.
The question is after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my nervous.
I'm sure. So thinking back through that whole process and kind of the 5 years that you spent studying and preparing and learning English and the history, geography, all of those things, walking through that process to become a U.S. citizen, what would you say what did you enjoy about that process?
When I learned the history, the civic,
Yeah.
when I learned understand, it's pretty the Constitution.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Constitution.
Yeah.
I am. Oh, I think this country is a good because the Constitution is pretty. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. That's great.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. So I'll ask another question for you. You mentioned your daughter gave you some tips going into the interview, and so we hope this podcast is an opportunity for other people to hear your story and hear your journey, and they may be pursuing or going to become a citizen as well. So if you were speaking to someone, like, you're still involved with our ESL ministry, and if you were speaking to someone who was going to go through that process, what advice or tips would you give that person?
when I inviting all person, no feel bad. Is you go all time is a persecution. It's difficult for me. And anytime I know more, but I don't know. I need my proposal is take this citizenship, no? I can take.
Yeah, that's great. And so, as you mentioned, it's not an easy journey. It's very difficult.
Yes.
But you would encourage someone to pursue that, push through the difficult, and be determined to finish and achieve that. Because now, being on the other side of completion,
Yes.
you're very, pleased with that process and that you went through it, and now you can call yourself a U.S. citizen.
Yes, I feeling proud for me because I can't.
Yeah, and that's a tremendous accomplishment. That's fantastic, and and actually, I just spoke with someone else in our ESL ministry who just finished the ESL or the citizenship process. I think he took his test in December. And so he just, finished that. And so, I think that creates a great opportunity for you and him and others to be able to share that process and talk through the struggles, but the aspect of that being able to be proud and achieve something so great.
I have much material for studying. Books and tips and things. When I take a citizen, the other people is want of get the citizen. I say okay, you can take this.
Sure.
I don't need more. I think you.
Yeah.
This person is for the other is I see the three person
Okay.
is help is the material.
Yeah. And I'm sure whenever you were right in the middle of studying and preparing and wanting to give up, at that time you never would have thought that those same books would go to help 3 more people walk through that process. And so, so that's great.
I think if I don't need a book or material, it's good for other person, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Miss Maria Teresa, thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting.
I
have nervous, but
You've done great.
Yeah, you
great.
did fantastic. Again, thank you so much. And as we kind of close, maybe you're listening and you've been curious about the citizenship process, or maybe you're listening and you're walking through that process or that journey yourself. We'd love to connect you with people to kind of help walk through that journey. And so if that's you and you have some questions, leave us a comment. We'll be happy to reach out and connect you with the proper channels to walk through that process. And always looking for those opportunities to help others that are going through those journeys. And so hopefully this has been a great opportunity for you to hear and better understand that process a little bit. And then also look forward to better things ahead. Thanks for joining us on Better Things Ahead. Follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video of our podcast. Until next time, keep moving forward because there are always better things ahead.